Hello and welcome back to my channel. This is Gavin from Design Tribe and I'm excited to bring you another graphics design tutorial. Let's get straight to it. First thing we want to do is to create our new project, and for this project we are going to be using a width of 1000 pixels and a height of 1000 pixels, and our resolution will remain at 300. I'm just going to click OK, and once that is created, the next thing I want to do is to create my background, and the background color I want to use for this particular design project is going to be this purple color. Once that purple color is selected, I'm just going to tweak it a little. So in my styles, I'm going to change it to radial, and for the scale, I'm going to increase the scale a little like this. And once that is done, I'm just going to click on OK. Now I'm going to be importing some other images to add some textures to my background. So I'm just going to add this one, and once this is included in the project, I'm going to separate it from the background. So I'm just going to go to select subject, and under the select subject function, once the selection of this building has been made, I'm going to add a layer mask to it in order to remove the background. So I'm just going to wait for the software to do its work, and once the selection is done, I'll need to add some of these parts of the effect to the selection. So I'm just going to use my quick selection tool, and I'll click on these areas and add these other parts to the selection. And once the selection is perfect, all I need to do now is just to click on this mask button, and once that is done, I'll use Ctrl T, transform, and I'll scale this up to fill this canvas like this. Okay, once that is added to my project, the next thing I want to do is to change the blend mode of this layer. So I'm going to change the blend mode to soft light and drop the opacity. So I'm going to click on the opacity tab here and reduce the opacity like this to this point. And once I'm happy with that, I'm going to import another image to add some more textures to my background. So I'm going to click on this and bring it into my project like this, and once that is dropped into the project, I'm going to scale it up like this to fill the canvas, and I'll click on OK. And once this is added, I'm just going to go to my blend mode, and for this one I'm going to be using overlay. So I want more of these textures retained, so that's why I use overlay instead of soft light like I did the previous time. And once that is included, now I'm just going to begin to add the other elements to my design. The first thing I want to add is the logo, so I'll just drag this logo and drop in here and resize the logo, reduce the size of the logo, something about this size, and reposition it to this position like that. And now I'm going to type in the name of the organization. Just click here and paste the name like that, and I'm just going to select everything and reposition it somewhere here, and Ctrl T, scale it down a little more like that. Okay, and once that is done, I'm just going to add a line in between the text and the logo. So I'm just going to use my rectangular shape tool, and I'll create a simple line like this in between them. And once that is created, the next thing I want to do now is to type in the theme of the program. So the theme is the keys of the kingdom. So I'm just going to type the keys of the kingdom, the keys. So I'll type this separate and Ctrl J and edit this, and I'll type in the keys. Oops. Keys. Sorry, keys of the. And for this particular text, I'm going to make it bold. Okay, semi-bold is good. I'm just going to increase the size, Ctrl T, increase the size like this. I think at this point we are good to go, and I'll move this slightly above, and I'll bring this text here. Okay, I'll just duplicate this text, and I'll type another information about the organization which I left out. So I'll just click here and I'll type alumni. And I'll move this to this point like that. Okay, alumni Yaoundé. Okay, and I'll position it here like that. And now I'm going to type in the other part of the theme. So I'll just create a copy of this. Now bring it down like this, select it, and I'll type in kingdom. And for this, I'm going to use a font. I'm going to switch the fonts to Aldo de Apache, if I pronounce it rightly. I'll just take Ctrl T and increase the size like this. So I want kingdom to span the whole length of this other text that we've put above. So I'll position it at the center like this and bring it up like this. Okay, once that is put in, I'm just going to add a drop shadow to the kingdom text. Just click on drop shadow here. I think the drop shadow is a little too strong, so I'm going to open the drop shadow panel and reduce the spread a little like that. Okay, and I'll leave the other text like that. So at this point, I'm going to import the image of the speaker. So I'm going to drag this and drop into my project like that, and I'll go to select subject, and once the selection is done, as usual, I'm going to add a mask to it. So I'm just going to add a mask like that to take out the background, and use Ctrl T and reduce the size like that, position it somewhere here. Yep, I think this position is okay. Just increase slightly like that. Okay, once that is positioned, the next thing I want to do is to deal with this white outline around the speaker. So to do that, I'm going to make a selection of him again. I'll press Ctrl on my keyboard, and I'll click on the mask button here, and I'll click on this image itself, the image to which the mask was applied, and I'll create a copy of it by pressing Ctrl or Command J on my keyboard like that. Once that is done, I'm going to delete this layer, and on this layer now, I'm going to use my burn tool to burn out the white shadows, the white outline on the image. So once I select my burn tool, this is the burn tool. Once I select it, I'm just going to increase the size a little like this, and I'll brush on these edges like this, just brush like that. And what this does is it makes these edges darker, and it helps to reduce the intensity of those lines, the outline. So just need to paint like that around the edges, so it kills the this outline. Okay, so once that is done, now I may just want to do a little adjustments on the image. So I will just go to camera raw filter. Under the camera raw filter, I'm going to tweak some settings to improve the image a little. So here I'm going to reduce the highlights a little, like that, increase the shadows a little, and I want to bring down my blacks a little, just a little like that, and tiny touch of the textures, and just add a little sharpening to the image like that, and I'll take OK. So once that is done, I'll now proceed to add some color grading to my image using curves. So I'll just add a curves adjustment layer here and make sure it is clipped on the image that we want to apply it to, so that it will not apply this effect to the whole image, to the whole design. So I'm just going to click there, and here I'll change this curve and select the red curve, and in the red curve I'm going to boost the red a little like that, and I'll switch this to blue, and the opposite of blue is yellow. So when I reduce blue, I'm increasing yellow. So I'm just going to drop down this blue a little like that, and I think I'm happy with the color that I see. Now the next thing I want to do now is to add the time icon here, the clock icon here. So I'm just going to go to where that image is located, drag this, drop into my projects like that. Once that is dropped in, I'm going to use my rectangular marquee tool to make a selection. So I'll use this rectangular marquee tool and make a selection of the first clock. This is the clock I want to use. Make the selection, and I press Command or Control J on my keyboard to make a copy. And once that is done, I'll delete this other layer and use my magic eraser tool. This tool is very helpful in such situations. I'm going to use the magic eraser tool, and what the magic eraser does is that whatever color you click on, it eliminates it from that section of the image on which you are clicking. So I'm going to click here. You see the magic eraser takes away the white from this inner part of this shape. So I'm going to click here again and take out this other part. If I click on this one, it's going to take out this part too. So you don't want to do that. You want to click only on the areas that you don't want to retain in your design. So I'm going to scale this down like this and bring it to this position somewhere around here. Okay, and once that is done, I want to add a white color to this. I want to change the color of this. There are many ways to do that, but in this case I'm going to be using my paint bucket. So I'll just select my paint bucket and click on the outline like this, turns it to white. Make sure that your foreground color here is white while doing this. So I'm just going to click here on this and it turns it to white, and then I'm going to use my type tool and type in the time, which is 6 p.m. 6 p.m. Select everything, go to the fonts, and I change it to Acumin variable, and maybe I use this one and increase the font size to say 18. Okay, I think I like this. And then the next thing I will do now is to add the date and location of the event. So I'm just going to type in Saturday here, Saturday, Control J, Saturday 09, and Control T, increase the size like this. Then I will type in Ctrl J again. I'll use this to type January 2024. Jan 2024. Okay, and I'll just do some modifications here. I'll change the width of this text. I'll use reduce it to that, and I'm going to modify January 2024 to modify it, and I will change it to this two. Ctrl T, reduce the size a little like that. Reposition it here. Okay, and up here I'm going to change the color of this to a yellow color like this. Okay, and I'll just want to select all of these and put them in a group like that, so I can easily control them at once. So I'm going to reduce this like this, position it here like that. Now I'm going to create an outline around them. So I'll select my rectangular shape tool and I'll create an outline like this. Okay, once that is selected, I'll come up here to the settings, turn off the fill, and here I'm going to add a stroke color white and increase the width of the stroke like that. I think 7 pixels is okay, and I'll go to the properties of this shape. If you can't find properties, you just need to select the shape like that, go to Windows, Properties here, and this tab will appear, and in this tab I'm going to modify the corners, the edges of this shape. I think I want it to have round edges, so I'm going to do this, and once that is done, I will reposition it again. Just click here, reposition it like that, and Ctrl T, right click, and then I'll warp it. So I'll click on warp. I want to distort the look of it a little, so I'll just push it like that, then I push this part like this. Okay, I think I'm happy with this distortion. What I'll do now is to add a mask to it, add a layer mask to it. I'll use my brush, change the settings of my brush. I'll take up the hardness to 100%, maybe leave the size around 20 pixels. I'm going to paint out this part with the black color, so I'll click here to take out this part, and I'll click here to take out this other part like that. And I'm going to add another effect to the background and drop in my design, and I'm going to take it right down. So I'll take it right down to the lowest layers. I think this point is even okay. I can now change my blend mode here to screen. Ctrl T, transform, increase the size to something like this, and yeah, I think this position is good, and I leave it like that. And I will just add a curves adjustment layer on it to make it a little dark. So I'm going to add a curves adjustment layer at this point and leave it at RGB, and I'll just drop this curve like this, so it's a little dark. Don't want it too bright. I think at this level it's okay. Okay, so that is it. I'm just going to reposition this bring this up a little, and I want to add a drop shadow on this time, 6 p.m. Double click here, and I'll just add a drop shadow. I'll just click here. You apply the same drop shadow I applied above, and I take OK. Once that is done, the next thing I want to do is to create a space here for the name of the speaker. So I'm just going to click here, right click on my brush tool, I'll select this brush and use. So I've selected, undo, create a new layer, and once your brush is selected, increase the size of the brush like this. The brush at this point is too thick, so I'll want to modify this brush. I'll open my brush tab and I'll reduce this like that, because I think this width is okay, and I'll just escape like that. Brush, switch my color to this same yellow color that I used here. Select this color, and once that is done, I'll just click here and I'll just click here like this. Okay, once that is, I click one more time like that, and I'll add a drop shadow to this layer like this, and I'm going to reduce the spread a little like that, and I'll click on OK. And now I'm just going to type in the name of the speaker. So here I'll type in speaker. Control A. I want to use a playful font for that, and down here I'll type in the name of the speaker. So I'll switch this back to another font type. Maybe I use Montserrat for this, and use medium. Reduce my font size to 14, no, 10. So I'll type in Reverend JC song in bracket daddy song. Like that. Control C. Control C. And reduce the size like this so it fits here. So here I want to change the font size. Let me use bold. Control T again and increase it. Make it bigger. Okay, I think that is okay. And I want to put this around here. Reduce the size of this. So okay, so now what is left for me to do is just to refine the design a little. If you look at this spot here, this area here, this text here is not clear, so I'm going to go down to the layers below. I think it's this layer. I'll add a mask to it. I'll use a brush, black brush, and I'll switch my brush to a normal soft brush, reduce my hardness down, reduce the size to this, and I'll just click here to take out some of this, anything that's distracting this part like that, and may want to darken it a little again, so my text at that point is visible. So maybe I add another curves adjustment layer before everything. So just add curves, and I'll bring this down a little like that. I think everything is good now. We'll position this like this. Yep, I think the text can now be seen clearly. Okay, at this point now, all I'm just going to do is I will select everything, group it, and I'm going to do the final color grading to make everything look amazing and have the same tone throughout. So I'm just going to convert this to a smart object. Once it is converted to a smart object, I'm just going to go to filters, camera raw, and in camera raw I'm going to do some adjustments. I'll increase my temperature like this and increase contrast, turn down the highlights a little, increase my shadows, reduce whites, and for the blacks I will turn them down a little, increase texture, clarity, and I'm just going to sharpen this a little more like that. Then that is okay. Now click on OK. So that is the design. I think the sharpening affected the face of the guest speaker so much, so I'm just going to add a mask. I don't even need to add a mask. I'm just going to use this smart filter mask here, use my brush and paint on this position. That's why it's always advisable to use smart objects, because they come with smart filter mask attached to them, so you can reduce the effects. So you see I've actually reduced the effect on his face. The effect was too strong on the speaker's face, so reduce that. So that is it for this tutorial. If you enjoyed it, please do well to support me by liking this video and subscribe to my channel so you don't miss out on my next videos. Thank you for watching. See you in my next video.